All right, let's get right into it. Today we're heading to northern Nigeria, focusing on the states of Sokoto and Katsina. Now, this is a region with just massive agricultural potential, but it's also a place where farming gets pushed right to the absolute edge. And that's not an exaggeration at all. We're talking about farming that depends entirely on rainfall, and in a climate that's getting more and more unpredictable every single year. For the smallholder farmers here, every season is a huge gamble against the weather. That's because this landscape just swings wildly between two extremes. For most of the year, it's a semi-arid dust bowl. But then, when the rains finally come, it just explodes into this incredibly productive, lush green landscape. For a farmer, that swing isn't just a change in scenery, it's a constant economic cliff edge. So here's the journey we're going to take today. We'll start right there, on that economic cliff edge. Then we'll look at the digital grid being built to solve this. We'll unpack the new toolkit it gives farmers, see how technology meets trust on the ground, explore the amazing offline first tech that makes it all work, and then we'll ask a really big question. What happens when a farmer can think like a trader? You see, the core problem here has never been a lack of skill or hard work. These farmers know their land inside and out. But historically, they've been operating in a total information vacuum. They're completely disconnected from the market data they need, forced to rely on gut feeling alone. So the solution we're looking at is a project called AgriFIMS. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like an operating system for a business. The kind of thing big companies use to manage literally everything from inventory to sales. Except this system is built for smallholder farmers in places where things like electricity and internet are, well, they're a luxury.
Yeah, the name is a bit of a mouthful, I know, but the mission, which is backed by the World Food Program, is actually really simple and incredibly powerful. AgriFIMS is designed to organize all the chaos of farming, the unpredictable weather, the crazy price swings, the fuzzy land borders, and turn farming by intuition into farming by intelligence.
So how does it actually do that? Well, the whole system is built on 4 key pillars of data. Think of it like a new digital toolkit that gives farmers critical intel at every single stage of the growing season. Let's take a look at what those pillars are. It all comes down to these 4 things. First, establishing the farmer's identity. Second, mapping their assets. Third, understanding their risk from the weather. And fourth, knowing the true market value of what they grow. Let's break each one down. First step, identity. In many rural areas, a farmer can be totally invisible to the formal economy. AgriFIMS changes that by creating a secure digital twin, which establishes a verified data trail. And this is so crucial because this profile is what makes them bankable. Without it, you can't get crop insurance, you can't get a microloan for better seeds. This one step legitimizes them as a real economic player. Okay, so now you know who the farmer is. But what do they actually own? That's pillar 2, geospatial wrapping. And we're not talking about just dropping a GPS pin on a map. No way. Field agents literally walk the perimeter of the farm, tracing the exact borders to create what's called a polygon. Why? Because a simple pin is useless if you want to predict yield. The polygon, though, gives you the exact area in hectares. It's precise. And this is where the data becomes a real game changer. A regional forecast that just says rain in northern Nigeria is pretty useless. But AgriFIMS delivers hyper-local forecasts right down to the village level. So if a farmer knows there's a 90% chance of heavy rain tomorrow, they know to wait to apply their expensive fertilizer. That single piece of information can prevent their entire investment from literally washing away. It's about preserving capital. Finally, we get to the market. This is where that lack of information has traditionally just crushed smallholder farmers. Imagine this. A local trader shows up in a remote village. They know the price in the city, but the farmer has no idea. So the trader makes a lowball offer, let's say 15,000 naira for a bag of maize. But what if that farmer's phone buzzes with an alert from AgriFIMS? It shows that the real-time price at a major market hub, like Dawa Now, is actually 25,000 naira for that same bag. Boom! That's a massive shift in power. Armed with real data, the farmer can negotiate, they can push back, and they can finally capture more of the value that they worked so hard to create. But here's the thing. This system isn't just some app. It absolutely depends on a critical human infrastructure. It's a whole network of organizations that build the tech, fund the project, and, most importantly, earn the trust of the communities on the ground. The key sponsor here is the World Food Program, the WFP. They're providing the strategic vision, the backing, and the resources you need to get a project of this massive scale off the ground. The developers, the ones who actually built the software, are the Green Habitat Initiative, or GHI. You can think of them as the architects behind this really innovative technology that makes it all possible, especially in such a tough environment. And then you have the implementers, the Life Helpers Initiative, LHI. They are the bridge to the community. Their field agents are the ones on the ground speaking local dialects, running training sessions, and building those essential relationships that are the bedrock of the whole project. And this really gets to the absolute heart of it. You can't just drop some new technology from a helicopter and expect people to use it. You're asking farmers to hand over their personal data and to trust your advice. That requires a huge amount of community engagement. The trust that LHI builds is every bit as important as the code that GHI writes. Okay, let's talk about the technical elephant in the room. How does any of this actually work in places where you might not even be able to get a text message out, let alone sync a huge database? Well, the answer is a brilliant design philosophy called offline first. It's basically edge computing that was born out of pure necessity. The agent captures everything: profiles, photos, GPS polygons, and the app validates and stores it all right there on the tablet. It works perfectly with zero connection. Then, maybe hours later, when the agent drives back to town and hits a small pocket of 3G, the app automatically syncs everything up to the cloud. It's all about bringing the technology to the user, not forcing the user to find the technology. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture here. We've seen the tech, we've seen the trust network that makes it work. What is the long-term, truly transformative potential of putting this kind of power into the hands of so many farmers? And the scale we're talking about is really significant. This is not a small pilot project. The goal is to bring over 50,000 farmers onto this digital grid. That's a big enough number to create a real data-driven ecosystem that can start to fundamentally shift the market dynamics for an entire region. Which brings us to our final and, I think, pretty provocative question. When you arm 50,000 producers with the exact same market intelligence as the people buying from them, they stop being just farmers. They start becoming commodity traders. They're entering the global game with all the risks and all the rewards that come with it. It's a fundamental change, and AgriFIMS is the operating system that's making it happen.